Welcome, everyone. This is our deep dive into current affairs, specifically focusing today on July 16th, 2025, Part 1. Especially for you UPSC aspirants, we aim to give you that essential shortcut to staying informed.
That's right.
Now, some of what we'll cover might be familiar, a bit of a revision perhaps, which is always good for cementing knowledge.
hmm
But we'll also definitely be bringing in some fresh insights, too. The idea is to give you a solid understanding, without completely drowning you in data.
Exactly. Our mission today, really, is to sift through a whole lot of material economic news, social shifts, tech updates, global connections, and pull out the absolute must-know points for your preparation. Let's just jump right in.
Okay, let's do it. Let's unpack this first big topic. We're starting with a really interesting report looking at U.S. tariffs, their impact on India, and crucially, how we can boost our own export competitiveness.
Yeah, this is fascinating because what the report shows is that the current U.S. tariff situation actually puts India in a position to gain market share. We're talking about something like 61% of its trade value exports to the U.S.
61%, that's significant.
It is. India basically gets a tariff advantage over competitors like China, Mexico, Canada in some really key areas. Think nuclear reactors, iron and steel, textiles, electrical goods, vehicles,
So quite a range.
a wide range. Now, there is a small disadvantage in some areas, maybe an average of 1%, where tariffs are slightly higher for India, but it's quite minimal. The real opportunities seem to be in high-value sectors like electronics, those nuclear reactors I mentioned, and also, importantly, labor-intensive goods, apparel, textiles, that sort of thing.
Right, so it's not just about the numbers, but maybe signaling a shift in
Yeah.
global supply chains.
Precisely. That's a great way to put it. It could signal a potential shift away from over-reliance on other specific countries.
Okay, so if that's the opportunity, what are we talking about in terms of concrete actions? What policy measures does India need to, really grab these chances?
Right. Well, we need a strategy for both merchandise and service trade.
Yeah.
For merchandise, it's really about boosting export competitiveness.
Hmm.
Things like expanding the PLI scheme, the production-linked incentives, specifically into more labor-intensive sectors. Also, rationalizing electricity tariffs, maybe reducing some of that cross-subsidization.
Okay, that makes sense. And facilitating trade.
Exactly. Improving the Authorized Economic Operator, the AEO program, launching targeted schemes under the Export Promotion Mission, these help smooth the process. And strategically, it's about diversifying who we trade with and the agreements we have.
Getting into bigger supply chains.
Yes, becoming a more integral part. The India-EU Free Trade Agreement talks are part of this, and initiatives like Jan Vishwa's 2.0 streamlining regulations.
Got it. And what about the services side? Is the approach different there?
It is, yeah. For services, we need to negotiate FTAs that are really focused on services, perhaps using the India-UK agreement as a kind of model, and broadening mutual recognition agreements, MRAs. That's huge for opening up professional opportunities abroad for Indians. We also need to simplify licensing, regulatory hurdles. Sometimes there are issues with inconsistent data compliance, IP concerns for service exports. Those need fixing.
Right, the practical hurdles.
And finally, underpinning all of this is promoting innovation and skill development, investing in upskilling, getting people ready for future tech like digital health, fintech, cloud, ed tech. That's what will drive service exports long term.
And speaking of skill development, that brings us perfectly to the next point. The Pradhan Mantri Kaushal Vikas Yojana, PMKVY, it's just completed 10 years. That feels like a really significant milestone.
It absolutely is. 10 years. It was launched back in 2015 by the Ministry of Skill Development and Entrepreneurship, MSDE. The whole idea was to encourage and really promote skilling across the country.
And it's in its fourth phase now.
That's right, PMKVY 4.0. It's a central piece of the Bigger Skill India program, which, by the way, also include things like the National Apprenticeship Promotion Scheme, PMNAPS.
Right, that provides stipend support.
Exactly. And the Yan Shikshan Sensten Scheme, the JSS, which focuses on vocational skills for non-literates, school dropouts. So PMKVY is part of a larger ecosystem. It offers different training types, too. Short-term training, recognition of prior learning, RPL.
For people who already have skills but maybe no formal certificate.
Precisely. And special projects for specific needs.
So, over this decade, what really stands out? What are the key achievements? And maybe how is it shaping the workforce for what's coming next?
Well, the sheer scale is one thing. Over 1.63 crore young people trained since 2015. That's a massive improvement in access to skilling.
Wow, 1.63 crore.
Yeah. But it's not just the numbers. The targeted approach is impressive. For example, skilling initiatives for the Brood tribe in Tripura, Or for prison inmates in Assam and Manipur. That really speaks to the social equity aspect.
That's really specific targeting.
It is. And inclusion, too.
Yeah.
You see around 45% women participation overall, and specific projects like PanKH had 70% women, plus significant inclusion of SCs, STs, OBCs. It seems designed to be inclusive.
That's good to hear. And future readiness.
Definitely a focus now. They're integrating training for emerging tech, AI, IoT, robotics, 5G, cybersecurity, drones, green hydrogen, all the buzzwords, but necessary ones.
Right, preparing for the jobs of tomorrow.
Exactly. And they haven't forgotten traditional skills either. There are projects upskilling artisans and weavers in places like Nagaland and J&K. And PMKVY 4.0 is really doubling down on industry connection, on-the-job training, digitalizing the whole system. That's key for making it work better.
That focus on industry connection and future tech, it feels like a natural lead-in to global capability centers, or GCCs. The finance minister has been emphasizing the need to ramp up their setup in India.
Yes, absolutely. GCCs, sometimes called global in-house centers or captives, they're basically offshore hubs set up by big global companies.
For their own internal work.
Exactly. They provide services like IT, R&D, customer support, finance, whatever, back to the parent company. They're part of the internal structure just located here.
And why India? What's driving this?
Several strong reasons. Cost efficiency is a big one, obviously. But also, India's digital and policy readiness. Things like smart cities, digital India create a conducive environment. Then there's the talent pool. Highly skilled, cost-effective workforce, and critically, English proficiency.
The demographic dividend, in action.
To some extent, yes. And India being a large consumer market itself doesn't hurt either.
Sounds like a compelling case. But are there challenges? What hurdles do we face in growing this sector, and what's being done?
Oh, absolutely there are challenges. Finding enough skilled talent, especially outside the major Tier 1 cities, in Tier 2 and 3 can be tough. Infrastructure gaps persist, both physical connectivity and digital. Regulatory complexities can be a headache, and cybersecurity is always a major concern.
Standard growing pains, perhaps.
Some are, yeah. The strategic interventions needed focus on a few areas. Embracing next-gen tech within the GCCs themselves, AI, automation, cloud. Navigating geopolitical shifts requires agile governance models. Workforce strategies need constant updating, upskilling, focusing on new age skills, embracing hybrid work models.
And sustainability, is that factoring in?
Increasingly, yes.
Yeah.
Aligning GCC operations with ESG goals. Environmental, social governance is becoming quite important for global companies.
So where do we stand now with GCCs in India? What's the current picture?
It's already huge. India hosts over 1,800 GCCs, which is estimated to be around half of all GCCs globally.
Half. Wow.
Yeah. They contribute significantly to the economy, about $68 billion in direct gross value addition currently, and that's expected to potentially triple by 2030. They employ over 2 million people, maybe closer to 2.16 million now, with potential growth to nearly 2.8 million.
That's massive employment.
It is. The sector's been growing at about 11% CGR over the last 5 years,
Yep.
already contributing, maybe 1.6% to the national GDP. It's a really important engine.
Definitely an engine. Okay, now let's shift to something that really highlights India's climate leadership. A major milestone in renewable energy has just been hit.
This is genuinely big news. India's total installed electricity capacity has reached 484.82 gigawatts. And the headline figure is that 50.08% of this capacity now comes from non-fossil fuel sources.
Over the halfway mark.
Just over. And what's really remarkable, truly impressive, is that India hit this target, the 50% non-fossil fuel capacity goal set under our NDCs for the Paris Agreement, 5 years ahead of schedule.
5 years early. That's fantastic.
It really is. If you look at the breakdown, thermal power is still the largest chunk, around 49.9%, just under half. But renewables are now at 38.08%, plus you have large hydro at about 10.19%, and nuclear at 1.81%. So combined, the non-fossil sources just tipped over 50%.
That kind of acceleration doesn't just happen. What were the key drivers? Which initiatives really pushed this forward so quickly?
It was a combination of sustained efforts. The PM Surya Ghar scheme for rooftop solar has been significant, facilitating around 7 lakh installations.
Bringing it right to the homes.
Exactly. Then there's PM Puisam for farmers, providing solar pumps, which helps agriculture become more energy secure. On the supply side, there's been a big push in manufacturing, scaling up domestic production of solar panels and wind turbines, helped by the PLI schemes.
Building the industry here.
Yes, and crucial investments in transmission infrastructure, the interstate transmission systems, to get the power from where it's generated, often in remote areas, to where it's needed.
policy support, too.
Absolutely. Things like the Green Energy Open Access rules from 2022 make it easier for consumers to access renewable power. And the FDI policy is very open, 100% FDI allowed automatically in renewables, plus specific support like viability gap funding for challenging projects like offshore wind.
So connecting this to the bigger picture, what's the broader significance of hitting this milestone, especially 5 years early, for India and maybe for the world?
It's significant on multiple levels. Firstly, it really positions India as a global climate leader. It demonstrates powerfully that developing countries can decouple economic growth from rising emissions and lead the clean energy transition. It challenges that old narrative.
Setting an example.
Definitely. Yeah. Secondly, it reduces our dependence on imported fossil fuels. That enhances energy sovereignty, makes us less vulnerable to volatile global fuel prices. Thirdly, it diversifies our energy mix, making the whole system more resilient. You're not reliant on just one or two sources.
And jobs.
Huge job creation potential. Across the entire value chain, manufacturing, installation, operations, maintenance, it's becoming a major source of industrial growth and employment.
Okay, let's pivot now to a pretty critical social and legal topic. The Supreme Court recently commented on freedom of speech, particularly in the context of social media. Always a tricky area.
Very tricky. It's a constant balancing act. The court made some really important observations. They highlighted that while having an opinion is one thing, the way it's expressed can cross a line, potentially becoming an abuse of free speech.
Leading to what?
Leading to unnecessary litigation, overburdening police and courts. The court suggested that citizens really ought to self-regulate their conduct on social media. But they added, if self-regulation fails, the state might need to step in to curb divisive or harmful speech.
So state intervention as a last resort.
That seemed to be the implication. Crucially, they also talked about Article 19, the freedom of speech guarantee. They reaffirmed it applies not just vertically, meaning against the state, but also horizontally.
Horizontally, meaning between citizens.
Exactly. Against other private individuals or entities. This isn't entirely new. The Kaushal-Kishore case in 2023 really cemented this horizontal application. It means your right to free speech isn't just about what the government can't stop you from saying, but it also interacts with the rights of others. Think defamation between two people online, for instance.
That's a really key distinction. The court also mentioned fraternity.
Yes, they emphasized the need for fraternity among citizens as a way to reduce hatred and animosity on social media, promoting a sense of common brotherhood.
It really highlights the tension, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So looking at social media's impact on free speech, what are the main upsides and downsides we need to keep in mind?
It's definitely a double-edged sword.
Yeah.
On the positive side, it's undeniably democratized voice. It gives platforms to marginalized groups who previously struggled to be heard.
Amplifying voices.
Right. It can strengthen participative democracy, allowing direct engagement on issues, and it boosts accountability and transparency. Citizens, journalists use it to hold power accountable.
But the downsides
are pretty severe. Misinformation and fake news spread like wildfire, causing real-world harm, panic, violence, reputational damage. Hate speech, online harassment, trolling are rampant and deeply damaging.
And the algorithms.
That's a more subtle but powerful negative. Algorithmic bias can create echo chambers, filter bubbles. It reduces exposure to diverse viewpoints, can amplify extremist content, and polarize society. It's a complex challenge with no easy answers.
Absolutely. A lot to think about there. Okay, let's move into some other key updates, the also in news section. Quick takes on essential developments.
Right. Let's get through these. First up, Consumer Price Index, CPI. Good news here, relatively speaking. Retail inflation hit a 6-year low in June 2025, down to 2.1%. Remember, CPI measures price changes for household goods and services. It's key for tracking inflation.
And impacts policy, like interest rates.
Exactly. The base year for CPI is currently 2012. Next, the National Pharmaceutical Pricing Authority, NPPA. The government, through NPPA, has fixed the prices of 71 essential drug formulations. NPPA's job since '97 is to regulate drug prices, ensuring medicines are affordable and accessible.
Important for public health.
Very. Then counterfeit goods. This issue popped up again with the German brand Birkenstock suing sellers of fakes in Delhi High Court. India, unfortunately, is often cited as a major origin point for counterfeits. An OECD report flagged this. Estimates suggest fakes might be 25–30% of our retail market.
That's huge. What protection exists?
Legal protection comes mainly from the Trademarks Act, 1999, and the Designs Act, 2000. They allow for legal action, injunctions, seizing counterfeit stock.
Okay. And one more quick take.
Yes, Shinkansen technology, Japan's famous high-speed billet train tech. The next generation, the E10 series, is apparently being introduced simultaneously in India for the Mumbai-Ahmedabad project and in Japan itself.
So we're getting the latest.
Looks like it. Shinkansen is known for being incredibly safe and reliable, partly due to its dedicated tracks and advanced automatic train control system. It focuses on crash avoidance, aerodynamics, noise reduction, energy efficiency. It's a major tech transfer.
Very interesting. Okay, expanding our view now, let's touch on some global connections and a couple of intriguing tech insights.
Sounds good. First, Australia is in the news, strengthening its partnership with India. They've launched the 2025 Maitri grants, supporting cultural, educational, and research exchanges through the Center for Australia-India Relations.
Building those people-to-people ties.
Exactly. Quick geography reminder. Smallest continent, sixth largest country in the southern hemisphere between the Indian and South Pacific Oceans. Resources like gold, iron ore, uranium are significant there.
And military exercises.
Yes, the Talisman Sabre Exercise 2025 just kicked off in Sydney. It's Australia's biggest military drill, involving 19 nations including India, the US, Japan, UK, several others, and over 35,000 personnel. Covers land, sea, air, space, cyber domains. It's a major show of multilateral cooperation.
Okay, shifting focus closer to home, a festival.
Yes, the Bedangklam Festival in Meghalaya is the most important dance festival for the Pinar or Jaintia people, celebrated annually in July after sowing. The name means driving away the plague, symbolizing spiritual cleansing and resilience.
What does it involve?
Rituals include young men symbolically driving away evil spirits by beating house roofs with bamboo poles. There are traditional games, too, like a type of football with a wooden ball called Dat the Walker and a tug of war. It's a vibrant cultural expression.
Fascinating. Now for the tech bits, quantum noise. Sounds counterintuitive.
It really does. So quantum noise is usually seen as the enemy in quantum computing, unwanted disturbances that cause errors, what they call decoherence. It messes up delicate quantum states like entanglement.
Entanglement being that weird connection between particles.
Exactly, that spooky action at a distance, as Einstein called it, where two linked particles behave in sync instantly, no matter how far apart. But a recent study found something surprising. Sometimes quantum noise might actually help generate or even revive entanglement that's been lost.
Noise helping instead of hindering, that's wild.
It is. It challenges the conventional understanding and could have implications for building more robust quantum systems. Very cutting-edge stuff.
And finally, something perhaps a bit more grounded, ram air turbine.
Yes, the Ram Air Turbine, or RAT. It came up in the preliminary report on that Air India plane crash in Ahmedabad. RAT is basically a small emergency turbine,
Where it's located.
usually tucked away in the fuselage or wing.
Yeah.
If the plane loses all main power, the RAT can be deployed either manually by the pilots or automatically. It uses the airflow from the plane's speed to spin and generate emergency electrical or hydraulic power.
A critical backup system.
Absolutely crucial. It powers essential flight controls and instruments when everything else fails. A vital piece of safety equipment.
Wow. Okay. That brings us to the end of this deep dive. We've really covered a lot of ground today, haven't we?
We certainly have.
From India's economic strategies with U.S. tariffs and boosting exports, the decade-long journey of PMKVY and skilling, the rise of GCCs, that incredible renewable energy milestone hitting 50% non-fossil fuel capacity early, to the complex dynamics of free speech on social media, and then all those quick updates on CPI, farmer pricing, counterfeits, bullet trains, Australia, festivals, quantum noise, and even aircraft safety tech.
It's a wide spectrum.
It is, and the aim, as always, especially for you preparing for UPSC, is to give you that comprehensive picture, connect the dots, but keep it concise and digestible.
And perhaps, if you think about how all these different pieces fit together, the economic planning, the focus on skills, the push for energy independence, even grappling with information challenges in the digital age, they paint a picture. It's a picture of a nation actively trying to shape its future on a complex global stage.
That's a great way to frame it.
So maybe a final thought for you to ponder. Considering all these trends, these efforts, these challenges, what do you think is the next major frontier for India? Where are the biggest opportunities or the most pressing hurdles for strategic growth and ultimately societal well-being? Something to chew on.
Definitely something to think about. If you found this deep dive useful for your preparation, please do like and subscribe. That way you won't miss our next session where we'll bring you more critical insights. Thanks for joining us.